If you can give us any information. I understand it's a sad scene and she's like possibly talking about her own death. But the point of doing that would be to pass along information.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back for the second half of Macross 2, which is to say we've already recorded the first 3 episodes. This is the midway point where the plan is to record 3 episodes today, which will finish off Macross 2, except for the movie. And of course, after the movie, we'll come back with the rankings, and essentially we will be done with Macross until the new thing comes out. We will have seen all of Macross.
That has subtitles that we could find.
Well,
that you could find, yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll have seen all of Macross, though. You're talking extras and bonus content and whatnot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We'll never have seen all of that. Like I said before, with Frontier, there was that special called Grace Report, which is a behind-the-scenes thing, like movie length, that even the people on the Macross Reddit didn't seem to understand existed. So, if we're not in Japan or Japanese or able to understand Japanese, no, I say if we're not in Japan, because I think if you're not in the culture, or not in the culture, over there, able to get like alerts when things are being released or out and whatnot, especially during a period of time where it wasn't being released in America, or I guess anywhere but Japan, as per Harmony Gold, legal, then there's no way to know. There was no way of knowing. Well, that said, though, obviously, this is the episode where we're going to come back with a board and notes. And as I was telling Lessons before we started recording, I was doing mine with barely any sleep at like 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, falling asleep in the middle. So if the quality of my notes are wrong or bad, I will still argue that they're not. Look, I understand that I'm like sweeping the legs out of any argument I'm going to have, but, I'm still going to be here to argue. Anyway, first off, though, let's go to the board. And I do have a rather long board change log, where I added Hibiki, Ishtar, Sylvie, Fef, Exgren, Nex, Dennis, Matsui, Saori, Amy, Natasha, Mash, and Wendy. I connected Exgren, Nex, Saori, Amy, Sylvie, and Natasha together with a green line. I connected Saori to Nex with a purple line. I connected Sylvie to Nex with a purple line. I connected Hibiki, David, and Matsui with a green line. I connected Hibiki to Exgren and Sylvie with a white line. I connected Ishtar to Fef with a white line. I marked Dennis as dead. I connected Hibiki to Ishtar with a green line. I connected Hibiki to Mash with a green line. I connected Ishtar to Mash with a white line. I connected Sylvie to Ishtar with a white line. And finally, I connected Wendy to Sylvie and Natasha with a green line.
The one thing I'm wondering is, and maybe it's just that we don't have enough colors for everything, but Exegran and Hibiki as a white line?
Yeah. Why wouldn't
they don't seem to be in the... Well, because Exegran seems to be... The one time they're in the same place, Exegran was pretty pissed off and destroyed Hibiki's equipment with his cane.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will be a little more adversarial than that.
I don't think Exegran considers Hibiki anything more than an annoyance. He's literally the supreme commander of the military. This guy is a pissant to him. He's a nobody. This is annoying. I'm getting burnt in the camera, right? I mean, the same argument you can make for Sylvie punching him in the face, right? She comes back later.
Yeah, but we have 3 episodes.
No, I'm saying she comes back later, before the whole Ishtar reveal, and she's just like, whatever. You just don't understand. I think Exgren, if he's going to have a animosity, it's going to be towards the media as a whole, not this guy. This guy's nobody. Could have been anyone.
Yeah. Guess so. Yeah, that's my one thing to say. Maybe a green line between Ishtar and Mash, because they seem to get along very well.
She met him once.
Well, Mash... Well, more than once, because
She was
Mash
asleep.
was the one. Yeah, and
I'm just preempting. I know. I have a
they
whole
took
note
care of
about it.
her.
I have a whole note about it. I'm just saying that doesn't count. It's like you were a friend of all of the nurses that operated on you when you were unconscious. No, you never met them. Technically, they never met you.
Well, those are my observations on the board.
And that would also argue that she wasn't like when she met Mash, she was still on the boat of I don't understand Earth culture. This is scary.
Yeah.
And it's only like episode 3 Ishtar. If episode 3 Ishtar had met Mash, maybe that'd be a green line.
We go to notes then. I guess I'll start. We have 3 episodes, so I'll start with the first episode. Episode 1, Contact. It's an interesting choice to make that the protagonist is a civilian reporter, or more to the point, a paparazzi. Sure, it's nobody's business what the two consenting adults do in their private time, and certainly that butt grab was beyond the pale. But at the same time, the public still has the right to know what their leadership, which seems to be all military, by the way, is up to.
See, I mean, I understand the concern here. Like, I think my first note is gonna match yours, but I'm gonna respond first. Because the part of yours that I don't think I write anything about in all of my notes is the element of your saying that the public deserves to know. And I understand the military is coming from a point of they can't do anything, the public, I mean, and all telling them the truth is going to serve as create a panic. So, and I understand Hibiki, the only point that Hibiki makes, in my opinion, that serves any merit is that everybody should have a weigh-in on what's happening to them, even if they don't have any ability to change it. Both have valid points, I think, although I will say this, the Supreme Commander makes his better. Look, my
by
problem,
destroying
and
the
I
camera?
think... What's that?
By destroying the camera, you mean?
No, he makes his point about not causing a panic by telling everybody the truth. He makes his point better. And I know I've said this a number of times where you have, like, dismissed this because I say it in a flippant manner. If you're being an asshole and you have a salient point, you're drowning out your salient point by being an asshole. Just because you're right doesn't mean I have to accept it. Because if you're an asshole, all I'm hearing is an asshole. This is how people typically get killed in horror movies, right? You'll say the most logical thing ever, but you're being an asshole. And you're being an asshole is working on everyone's nerves, and your tensions are high. You're getting eaten by a zombie. We didn't kill that person, even though it's the most logical thing to do. They got bit, they're sick, they're turning white. I heard them groaning a little bit. But we have a connection to them, and your logic is being given to us in an asshole manner. So... Hibiki is a fucking creep and an asshole, at least in episode 1. And as logical as a statement he might say, it's coming from an asshole. So after we get introduced to Ishtar in her fan service outfit, the very first character interactions we see is our main character sexually assaulting a woman he doesn't know, then springing a TMZ-style trap on them. I don't blame Sylvie for going straight fists at that point. Regardless of him identifying himself as a reporter, this wasn't some Mad Men-style casual workplace harassment from it was a different time point of view. This was the 90s. Hibiki was just straight up being a creep. It doesn't help that he's portrayed as being a hothead that only cares about the ratings and not the people he's reporting on. To the point of calling out his boss for covering up for the military because of his reporting without evidence. All of this inside of the first 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah, I mean, and something I will comment on later. I will comment about that scene with the boss, and I also make, which is probably my next note, but also the setup of, this is the character growth. We start with somebody who is unlikable, and as the show goes on, we'll see that they're not that bad,
Worked so well for me with Macross Plus.
My second note, rebuking Hibiki for what he did and having it all fall on his shoulders is hypocritical to say the least. Hibiki had an entire crew and equipment set up for his ambush, something that was done with the full approval of his producer, who was delighted with the footage, only for Hibiki to be dressed down by the head of the news division, or network, for conduct of becoming a true reporter. Hibiki points out that A, he was hired because of the talent to produce such sensational headlines, and B, that the only reason why the network is forcing him to apologize is because he embarrassed the powers that be. It is a sign that SNN wants to have it both ways, the salacious celebrity scandals for ratings, but doesn't want to challenge the powers that be. And the rot is in the system.
I mean, I disagree, because I think Hibiki is the problem, because we don't see most of what you're talking about. Like, for one thing, I don't remember the producer ever green lighting what he was doing. We only see him talking to his boss. And it's not impossible that he could have, God, I forgot the term I was going for here. He could have gone out and done this on his own. Like, we see that he is a support cameraman, but that's it.
Oh, he has a whole crew. He has a girl that is...
No, he is the cameraman, and then everything else is set up on automatic, like, things to come out when he hits a button.
There's someone else there as well.
That's what I'm saying, the cameraman. I know I'm using the word cameraman, but that's the word. Mm-hmm. That's her, the girl in the red outfit. Yeah. That's it. That's the only other person on scene.
And when he comes back, his producer is like, "Yeah, you got great footage. That was awesome, right? Yeah." So he clearly had to green light it. Otherwise,
no, that's just Mitsui. That's just Mitsui. That's just a guy. That's just a guy who's working there.
That's the producer. He is literally the producer.
He's not. He wasn't on scene though. We have no verification that he authorized this.
He doesn't have to be.
You were saying in your note that he authorized this. And you said the producer was like helping him set everything up. Like, I'm saying that there's no telling that this guy just didn't, get the resources he needed on his own. Went out and did this thing on his own. And then came back expecting to get praised for what he did. And who gives a shit what the producer says if the executives at the top say, no, you did bad?
Yeah, but the executives, the people who actually hired him, then he does the thing, and they're like, oh, by the way, the military just called, and they're not happy with this, so you apologize.
All they did was express that they did not like what he did. They never were like, oh, good job. Oh, wait, no, we can't do this. No, they were like, your sensationalist reporting without evidence is not what we want here. And then he's like, you hired me because I get da-da-da-da. And then apparently they don't want that. So that's my argument, is that your assertion that they hired him for one thing and they want that, but they can't have that, and that's not shown to me. What's shown to me is the boss, the executive, literally saying, we can't be having this. And for another thing, we don't know that the executives hired him. He could have been hired by somebody else along the way that was thinking, we need this. And then the executives are like, no, that's not the place we want to be. This could be a complete failure of communication of the entire corporate chain.
Which kind of goes back to the routers in the system, because if this is allowed to happen, and we know that he did some big scoop in the past. We don't know what the nature of the scoop was in the past. So he already has a reputation, right, in the network for someone who gets this information, right? So, that was okay when you did it and we hired you, but now it's bad again,
Well, no, they made it sound like he got hired because of that other thing. Not that he did it for them, but he got hired because, well, I mean, yeah, why not? Oh, this is a reporter that broke the big story. Obviously, they've got a future ahead of them. Let's see what they do. And then it turns out you don't like how they operate because they're not reflecting well on your entire network. That's just something you find out after the fact, I guess. You hired him because you had to hire him. Otherwise, somebody else would. You wouldn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, but I think also there's a heavy hand of the government, or in this case, the military, which we see. I have more notes.
Of course
they
would, though. All right, well, I'll wait until we get to that part. I'm not going to sift through the entire, all the way down, right? We're going to go to this note until we find gold. I'm not exactly sure what set off the Macross to fire. We know that system got changed back in SDF Macross after the booby trap incident. Otherwise, we would have seen it automatically firing on every Centrati show we ever came across. More than that, though, even if it weren't an automated response, the fleet that defolded did so in Jupiter proximity. Even assuming that the Macross was angled correctly to take the shot and the beam travels anywhere near the speed of light, that shot would take 33 minutes to reach its target.
Yeah, no, I think they're setting up for something different. Well, I know they're setting up for something different, but clearly this is a significant change from the original. They're treating the ship as still as mysterious and otherworldly, even though it's.
I mean, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like they're treating it just like it's old. Although, the ship of Aulus, I have a note about that later. I don't know. It feels not like they're treating it as mysterious or anything. It feels like they're treating it like they forgot.
Well, something like just like a background on this stuff just happens. We got to deal with it. Which I also have a note about that. Continuing on the media thing. My third note. Then you have the military who's gearing up their top pilots to celebrate. To be celebrities among the populace. Now, I'm all for protecting people's privacy, and celebrities do not give up all their rights just because they're famous. But again, the military wants to exploit the fame, but face none of the consequences for said exploitation, especially the more embarrassing aspects of celebrity. Again, I'm not blaming Sylvie or even maybe the commander, Exegran, but not Sylvie herself, because she just got caught in this situation. She didn't look for it. But you do see later on that there's an entire machinery around these pilots. Like, oh, they're the best. They're treated like celebrities, right?
They're treated as celebrities when they're pilots, though. When we go, you're talking about like episode 3 when they're celebrating everybody in like a whole
even
show,
before that,
all showboaty way. Well, no, they're known, but they're known because of the showboaty stuff. The military's not pushing them out there to be celebrities when they're not doing anything. We don't see Sylvie like, this is my favorite brand of oats, sponsored by the military. No, it's, by the way, our top ace pilot showing off our new top fighter, Valkyrie. That's the stuff the military is doing. So hounding Sylvie in the streets when she's not doing military stuff, that is completely separate.
There's a part where they also mentioned that she was the winner. Actually, it was done because they're in the cafeteria, I think, and all of a sudden an image comes up of Sylvie, and it's like, oh, she won the competition for this, and she's the hottest pilot, blah, 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 at 17 and whatnot. So, and that wasn't Hibiki doing that. That was the military saying, oh, by the way, we have this hotshot pilot, And again, I'm not blaming Sylvie. Sylvie is Sylvie. She's just doing her job, right? It's that you have this machinery of getting up these pilots. Oh, these are aces. These are celebrities. And then it's like, oh, by the way, you should know that there's going to be consequences for this, right? Again, Hibiki's also responsible
I would
for his
argue
actions.
what you're arguing is reality, and I would argue that reality sucks, so that you shouldn't be defending how things are. They are pushing the celebrity of them because they want to say, hey, look at how great our pilots are, right? And you're saying, well, celebrity doesn't mean you get shielded all the time from everything, although you're also saying that celebrity doesn't mean that you should be hounded all the time either. I'm accepting both sides of your point. But my point is, that's only true because that's what reality is. And I'm saying that reality fucking sucks, so maybe we shouldn't defend reality, and we should be proposing how things should really be.
I am criticizing the military for doing that in the first place and putting these people in that situation.
I'm saying that you shouldn't criticize the military. You should be criticizing Hibiki still. Hibiki is the one who's hounding them, and the only reason that we give Hibiki any leeway for having done any of that is because that's just what fucking happens in real life. Celebrities get hounded in real life, and I'm saying, well, maybe we should. You shouldn't hound the military, or you shouldn't criticize the military for putting a person on a pedestal. You should criticize the person who won't fucking stop crawling up that pedestal to hound that person.
But Here's the thing is that putting people in pedestals can be dangerous and even undemocratic, which...
I don't think it's undemocratic. I think you might also be pursuing the pedestal metaphor too far, because there's a difference between putting a person on a pedestal and then believing that they are whatever the pedestal makes them. I'm talking about recognizing people's skills and celebrating them, and not the what do you call it? The culture of celebrity is different from celebrating a person. She won awards. She won a contest. She's our ace pilot. Great. We recognize her for that. We celebrate her for that. We don't treat her like a celebrity, hounding her through the streets, getting into her trash to take her shit, busting down any hotel she's staying at. That is the shady shit. That is Hibiki's side of this equation. All the military says is she wins awards. She's a great pilot. My problem is entirely on the TMZ style reporting of Hibiki. The Minmay attack we're using feels just like the Walkir from Macross Delta would do eventually, with the space holographic projectors to display the sting. With space holographic projectors to display the singers as some sort of distraction. I know Frontier did it first, but that was mostly a one-off thing in that show where Walkir made it a part of their performance almost every time. And obviously when I say first, I mean before Delta.
Yes, this would be the first time it happened.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I explained beforehand that what I'm saying is when I say Walkir did it, I mean that Frontier did it like the one time, and it's not part of their whole gimmick. Walkir does it almost every time. It's their thing.
Yeah, it's just what it is. So my next note. Apparently SNN has a party club room for some reason. It's when they're walking down the corridor, there's a room says something, and then party club room. And I'm like, party club room?
Yeah, they go there.
I don't know why that's supposed to. I don't know what that is, but sure.
No, I just sort of they went there because I remember seeing papers with that written on it too.
Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to be, but yeah.
Well, I mean, this is 90s anime, probably written late 80s. So, I mean, think about movies of that era where you had reporters and cocaine.
The hot chicks room. Yeah.
I mean, essentially. I assume that's where they go to do cocaine and shit.
Officially. We officially have a party club room.
Lord Ignis? Ignis? I was saying that, but the element here is that it also contains part of one of my names. So it's like trying to read it as my own. It's like, that's not how you probably read it. Anyway, wording this, the aliens have developed music. I sense a dangerous culture. Who is talking? And who are they talking to? This was said over a shot of the alien fleet. Is this a third party referring to the Zentradi in Human Fight, or is it these new aliens referring to us? Uninspired, that's not even what I wrote. Unsurprised by the existence of music, but put off by the fact we have it to use.
Well, I think that, we know who they are, the Marduk, so...
No. This is a character name that hasn't appeared anywhere else. We haven't seen anybody named Lord Ignis, so...
Yeah.
And it's only over a shot of the Marduk ships, so there's no context. We never go from who's talking to who they're talking to. It's just, this is the thing said while we're looking at ships, and then we go back to Hibiki and gang. Or, I can't remember, it might even be Sylvie and the other pilots in their cafeteria scene.
A gigantic cafeteria, by the way.
Yeah.
Cavernous.
Not that, really. I mean, look, you say giant cafeteria, and I go back to, like, not Crest of the Stars, Infinite Rivas, where just the school cafeteria dwarfs this one. So,
wow.
Well, it's a cafeteria for like 400 people all at once.
Yeah. Next note. They're setting up Sylvie and Hibiki, part of the love triangle. Let's see how that works out.
Well, they haven't done a really good job then, because 3 episodes in, I don't feel anything about them. They don't even get a purple line. Then again, Ishtar doesn't even get a purple line.
I think there's more closeness between the two of them than certainly Sylvie and Hibiki.
I didn't see any romance going on there. Hell, even Natasha says something about Nex. Like, I hope he does break up with Sylvie. Then I'll have a chance. If they're going that far to say that shit about side characters, and I don't feel that for, like, the other love triangle, Like, so far, that's the only love triangle on the board. Next, Natasha and Sylvie.
Oh, MASH talks about it later on, but yeah.
Ash doesn't mention anything romance related.
Oh, yes. Yes, they do.
But you better have
Well,
quoted
well,
it
the-
because it didn't appear.
when because I didn't write a note about it, but when they're waiting for Ishtar to finish having her hair done and all that, yeah, it's like, oh, you're in love, and it's like, no, I'm just using her for a scoop. It's like you're lying, basically. That's
He
it.
doesn't say love.
And then Mash says, yeah, it literally says love, and it's like, no, that says Mash says, I have an insight in both the hearts of men and women, and walks away, and he's like, and he's like,
he does say the men and women thing, but he does not use the word love.
oh yeah,
I don't think you remember love.
I certainly do. And lovers again. To your next point, I suppose, yes.
Beyond the jamming birds using songs from Macross 2, I feel like the standing triple launch platform that the Valkyries take off from is also something Macross 7 took from this.
Well, that actually comes from Do You Remember Love?
Yeah, but
remember
Macross,
the arms that
I have a
comes out?
future note about this, but Macross 7 actually I have another note about how much other stuff Macross 7 takes from this, so just, I don't care that Do You Remember Love has it. I feel like Macross 7 is taking from this.
I mean, it could be, the evolution could be Do You Remember Love to Macross 2 to Macross 7. So
I feel like whoever did Macross 7 got inspired by this and not anything else that other things may have come from. You know, the element that if I watched, say, the first Star Wars movie and you're like, and you would say, oh, you clearly took this from Star Wars, and then somebody else would say, well, actually, no, Star Wars took this from Flash Gordon, and I'd be like, well, I never saw Flash Gordon, I only saw Star Wars. That's what I feel like is happening.
Yeah, but yeah, I know, but it
it's
doesn't
not,
invalidate
it's
what
not
I
a
said.
it's not a transitive property of inspiration. If you only watch Star Wars, you took it from Star Wars. If Star Wars took it from Flash Gordon, good for them. They took it from Flash Gordon. You did not take it from Flash Gordon. You took it from Star Wars. So you took it from somebody else's watered down version of Flash Gordon. You can't be inspired by a thing you didn't see. You know, if somebody else is ripping off something and you rip off somebody else, you're ripping off their version of the thing that they're ripping off.
My next note. And now the Macross just shoots random blasts into the air and does this near or even in the middle of a heavy populated area. At least there's a warning system for it.
I mean, it fires up.
I know. But still, it's even if I fire a gun up, it's still a gun firing. I
would argue that a bullet is
beholden
beholden to gravity, where this energy beam isn't. Also, there's no indication that it puts off heat, or no one's like, oh, no, like a blast wave or anything. It just fires up. At most, it's loud, I guess. Yeah. But then again, not loud enough to actually hurt anything. And there's a good distance between it and everything else, because as we see from episode 3, the looking down is like, closest thing to here is the park, and then the city. So I guess the park surrounds the thing.
Yeah, it's part of the culture part.
I'm just saying, it's good that they have the warning system. It's just like seems to be no harm in it. It's weird that it does it, but there doesn't seem to be harm in it firing.
Although, now I'm thinking about it. This is taken directly from, it's taken directly from the movie as well. And in the movie, the main cannon gets destroyed. So they had to have rebuilt it. Could it be a malfunction of the rebuilding from scratch?
No, because we would have rebuilt it the same way that after the booby trap thing goes off, that we fixed it because we are the ones who put everything in there.
Yeah. Well, since that never happens in the movie, so and this
is
a
that's because the movie starts after all of that. You'd have to assume it already happened because they're already in space, and the city and everything are in there, so they must have already gone through booby trap, teleported away, had all the civilians build a city on the inside. Shit that the stuff we talk about before. Shit that must have happened, right? Because otherwise, why did you build a city in here? You didn't explain it.
Unless we take the Sega Genesis game,
which we
intro as being.
Oh, never mind. You said game intro. You said game, and I cut you off immediately.
Okay. Go ahead.
Also, I think you mean Sega CD.
I think I see the, yeah.
That would not work on the Sega Genesis. That would be all your bass. That would be an all your bass intro if it was on the Genesis. Denver gives this whole speech about how real war is and how delusional we are as a species to think that the universe revolves around us. Using the destruction of the fleet's flagship, Heracles, as an example. But what was the Heracles actually doing? We see it fold into the fight, and inside a minute it's going down. It never really has a chance to even return fire. I failed to see the plan for its use. As the flagship, the battle should have been organized and controlled from it, so it should have been, it should have folded in further back from the front lines. Instead, it jumps right in front of the action and doesn't do anything. Great set piece for a conversation, but otherwise I'd love to hear what commands were being given on that bridge.
I mean, it probably was a very powerful ship. And that's why you want to waste it and you want to have it engaged. But still, yeah, I think the ship just exists to make that point in the speech, right? Look at the thing we created. It's supposed to be very sophisticated compared to the old Centrati ships that we have. Boom, destroyed.
I mean, it'd be
Although
like
that
in
fight is,
First Contact if the Enterprise D warped right in front of the Borg cube and then the Borg cube just fucking destroyed it. Like, what was the point of that?
that would have been cool, actually.
I mean, it would be a different movie, obviously, because
Well,
would have your
it's
main.
what happened to the Defiance. So,
Well, I mean, no, because that's what I'm saying. They would have to beam them somewhere, and obviously, where else but the Borg cube, and then it'd be a whole different movie.
actually, I could have. Now that I think about it, they beam into the Borg cube. The cube launches a sphere. They go back into past. They have to get out of the.
Actually, now you're saying that doesn't change that much about the movie. If you still go with that whole thing, like they beam onto the cube and they don't know it, but they've actually beamed onto the sphere inside the cube, and then the sphere goes back in time, and that's how they're protected by from the the time travel effect.
Change.
And then they have to try and stop the Borg from inside the Borg sphere while back in time, and that doesn't really change that much because effectively the Enterprise D in the past was getting assimilated. So instead of on a ship that's being assimilated, you're just on a cube, which is obviously already. So it didn't really change that much, other than the fact that Picard's not going to have his own room to go back to. No. Rah!
Actually, it's not the D. It's the E, because the D got destroyed in the first movie.
Yeah, not the first movie.
First movie was TNG. Yeah.
No,
The one with the
I'm sorry,
Nexus
no,
and all
Generations. It's Generations, but
Generations.
I was trying to remember if Generations was the first movie or not. I was like, yeah, I guess technically it is.
Anywho, to my next point. Love how all the commanders are in elevated chairs in the command center, just because, I guess. And by the way, Ishtar is in a bit larger, more elevated chair by herself later on. So I guess that's the aesthetic. Commanders they're over there. It's like, hey.
I mean, her chair goes to the floor, and then it's like one of those, your old person can't go upstairs. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just sits up there on the top. There's doesn't give me any point for it.
Just as an aesthetic. It's like, we are in charge of you peons. It's like the pit in Star Destroyers, right? Where just so they can have Darth Vader dramatically walking that little catwalk, and people were like,
well, I mean, that makes sense, though. It's not like by the way, it's called peons, because you have to be high up to pee on them. That makes sense, though, because in the pits, you can oversee what everyone's doing. And the easiest way to look is down. So, kind of the same way that I was talking about Durandal's control room, where the holograph projections fill the room, and everybody on both sides can see what everyone's doing. It's just like, this works, it's pretty good. Unlike, say, the Enterprise D bridge, going back, where Worf is the only one who can see his console. If the captain wants to see what the engineering and science guys are doing, he's like, turn around! What are you guys doing back there? It'd be different if he was like in the middle of the room and he had like a swivel chair and he goes, what are you doing over there in science? Swivel around. Of course, then again, every time they get attacked, you'd be like, woo, spinning around, swivel. All right. Well, my next note addresses an argument I think we had. To my commentary about Ishtar not needing to breathe, they fly into the ship via a giant hole. We see that hole is open to space and the corridor that they fly down, because we see the entirety of them traveling down the corridor. That corridor just connects to an open chamber with no doors behind them. In that chamber is a hole to the chamber that Ishtar is in, again, with nothing sealing it off from the vacuum of space, or apparently cavum of space is what I've written. We don't see when the hole was made, but we see when they fly into it. 32 seconds later, they spot Ishtar sitting in her chair, exposed to space. It's a full minute and 34 seconds later until we see the cockpit closing with her inside. So a total of 2 minutes and 6 seconds of her exposed to space that we can see on screen. Probably more, since we don't know when the hole was created. According to the next episode, she's only out of it when we see her again because MASH sedated her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big oversight. I saw it again. I was like, yeah, there's not even a door. And a Centrati steps in and starts to fight, and there's an explosion that destroys it. That has to come from somewhere, which also rips up the roof area of that chamber, and that's where they see Ishtar in the other room. So,
well, I mean, I was specifically counting to the moment where, because you see Dennis, he puts her into the cockpit, and then floats away from the explosion, whatever. And then Hibiki flies out to Dennis to have a conversation, in which case she's still floating or sitting in the cockpit with no oxygen. So the entire time he's having that conversation with Dennis, she's still exposed to vacuum. So,
and it's interesting because there's another scene where they deliberately have an entire system to prevent air escaping into a crowd of people so they can launch off. So they took that deliberate care in that scene, but in this scene, they don't even have like a door behind them closing in or something. So could have been easy,
I mean, just like my dude here walking through space on the outside of the ship. Obviously, I'm pointing at the overlay. You have no idea. This makes no sense to you. Discord camera. But like my dude here walking through space, getting back in to have that fight. But we don't see any other Zentradi in the entirety of Macross free walking through space. So,
my next note. The implication of Dennis drinking, at least to me, is that he covered the last battle 10 years ago. It wasn't as clean an affair as Hibiki remembered it. Even Hibiki said how moved he was about the footage from the battle as a kid. He was only 7 at the time, while today he criticizes military censorship, showing once again how much control the military has over media.
I mean, sure, that's a valid read. I mean, at the same time, this attack was unknown. So, how can you blame him for drinking during the day when he wouldn't have known he was going to need to jump into a Valkyrie and fly out to take pictures? Unless you're saying he should have known that they were going to attack today for some reason.
No, I think his whole attitude is like,
there's a party club room in the fucking building.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like we don't have standards, I guess. Like, what are you talking about?
No.
Did you not visit the party club room? So it's like, I feel like Hibiki was getting on him for like being the reporter who's going to be taking the pictures and everything on this Valkyrie. How are you drinking when you're on the job? And it's like, this attack sprang out of nowhere. Nobody knew this attack was going to happen. How do I know not to drink today? Next thing you're saying, I shouldn't have been doing cocaine off of that hooker.
Yeah. What do you mean I shouldn't do ass crack cocaine? What the fuck are you talking about?
The sweat and glitter makes it better.
Yeah, apparently.
What happened between episode 1 and 2? We formed a defensive line around Mars, fought them on their way in from Jupiter. Both fleets lost important ships. Then Hibiki is flying off with Ishtar and his Valkyrie at the end of the episode. And the next episode starts with Fef in orbit over Earth in a massive ship, launching Batroids and his own mobile suit thing, with no opposition in orbit to stop him. A reminder, they detected ships out as far as Jupiter. How could they not detect this ship in orbit? But more importantly, we were at a fleet battle, and then suddenly he's just in orbit at the start of the next episode.
they do say that he found a hole in their defenses. And they do react when the ships go down because there's a battle. They're scrambling.
They
fighters
react
to
at the
intercept
end of
those.
the episode after the fight has already happened. But sorry, after the fight has already started. Don't know why air quoting.
No, because there's a short fight where Nex is actually debriefing them, like, "Oh yeah, we intercepted this guy over the sea," like and it's when they say, "Oh yeah, they have a whole defenses," but that makes it kind of worse because the ship is still there. They're like, "Oh, so now we detect the ship. Well, why are we not shooting it down?"
My point is, though, not what they know in the middle of the episode. My point is that we go from the fight happening, because Hibiki is flying away with Ishtar at the end of episode 1, fleet battle still happening, to he's just home and Fef is in orbit.
Yeah.
We don't see the end of the battle. Like, you would, I think, a normal person, a reasonable person, would just assume that the aliens won. Because we see the fleet battle, and then we see Fef in orbit.
Yeah, I have a note about that. Basically, it was a draw. Which is not.
That's not shown.
But yeah,
you're making that up, as far as I can tell. Like, I know you know future.
No. There's a quote. I have a quote about that.
Well, you better have a quote about that then.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah.
Well, you don't have a quote about it then.
I basically made a joke about the quote, but it is a quote. In fact, I gotta say that it's somewhat satisfying to see this regular spacey forces holding their own in battle, while in most macro shows, the enemy just simply wipes the floor with the regular forces. We at least see losses on both sides after the Min-May attack fails. Where in any other show, it's like, oh, here come the Vajra, or here come whatever. They just kill a bunch of even spacey guys, nuns guys, and it's like, only the heroes are the ones who actually get killed.
Well, that's because that from Frontier onwards, the nuns are part of the problem, if not nobody's. Like, because it's SMS from Frontier onwards, and
even 7,
PMCs,
they also get their ass
technically.
Kicks. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
in fact,
but
in 7 they couldn't even hit any of the.
That doesn't count though, because Basara and gang are Sound Force, and Sound Force is a part of nuns. So technically, the moment the Basara and gang join the nuns, they are part of the nuns. Also, Gamlen is part of that group, and Gamlen is completely effective all the time. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like
my indication is that from Frontier onwards, SMS, PMCs are the way we go forwards. But from Macross 7 is what you're pointing out. That's still nuns. Those still count as nuns from halfway through the show onwards. So we go from SDF Macross, the nuns are our saviors. We go to Macross Plus, which is both, I guess, because once they get all mind controlled, they are the problem. But technically, Asamu, test pilot, is working with the nuns and everything. Plus, in the first episode, where he's badass on the Zentradi, that counts. Macross 7, nuns are still our heroes, but we're anti-military sentiment, so kind of works back and forth. And then Macross Frontier, Macross 7, we're PMCs, Chaos, and SMS. We've moved away from the nuns. Nuns are actually sort of more the bad guys than anything.
Yeah, but the point is, I want to say, especially started with 7. When the baddies show up and the regular forces show up, in fact, in 7, they would shoot at the bad and never hit them. Only Gamlen was, and maybe the elite guys actually hit any targets. Everyone else was like, they got wiped out. And I was like, okay, and that's what I'm saying. That here is a little more balanced, right? There's like, oh, these guys are actually effective to a degree, right? Both sides take losses. Here it's like every time the bad guys show whoever they were show up, it's like all of them are dead. I'm like, or they get their energy sucked out of their faces or whatever,
I mean,
and
you're
then
wrong.
It happens again in Frontier.
You're still wrong, because remember that halfway through, the enemy forces that were missing, or mostly missing, are mind-controlled humans. So we're trying to avoid killing them by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle rules, right?
Yeah, but that happens halfway through the show.
Yeah, and then in the first half of the show, we have Diamond Squadron, which is performing admirably.
Yeah, but those are the elites, the regular soldiers. I'm talking about the regular pilots.
And then we have the other squadrons that are still working too, Dick and gang.
Yeah, they don't do much of anything.
They do.
Basically.
They eventually move on to join Diamond Force, or actually Emerald Force, because Diamond Force gets the other dick. So yeah, no, I'm just saying that Macross 7 is the midway point between the nuns are nobodies or the nuns are evil, that then Frontier starts. But until then, again, Osamu represents the nuns in the first episode before he goes test pilot, where he's kicking Zentradi ass. And yeah,
Your next note then.
is it? What was your note? We've
It
argued
was
about
about
this nuns thing for a while, so I've forgotten.
Yeah, it's about how satisfying it was to see regular spacey forces holding their own in battle.
Actually, I would argue against that too, because I have a future note about episode 3 and why the fuck did Fef run away without Ishtar, but because that dude just gets his arm ripped off. Like, they're not that effective. I think we just seeing so few enemy forces at once. Like, you got one space battle that's like buffing your argument, but after that, kind of sucked. Everybody just kind of sucks, in fact. I don't know, this is making the nuns look like, this isn't like the nuns look great.
No, actually, the
sucks.
nuns actually kick ass. They kick ass on Earth too when they attack.
No, that's what I'm saying. Everyone just
farm.
fucking sucks. These guys are spray and praying, by the way. You said that during the reaction. God, it took a lot of shots to take that thing down. And the bat droid doesn't fucking do anything. It just flies forward. No evasive maneuvers or anything. So everyone just kind of sucks.
Like one guy went around there was like, "Oh, that I got 12 kills already." I was like, "Okay," but then again, that was.
I think he's counting total.
I think
not like this engagement. I think he's just counting, like, oh, I'm an ace,
double. Yeah,
I'm a super cum,
double ace.
Heard the word, man. It's never coming out of my head. Can't get this cum out.
Your next note.
How the hell did Hibiki sneak Ishtar out? He flies back to base to send in his report and tell them about Dennis's death. While he's going around the base, he has Mash take Ishtar from the base and back to his apartment. How the hell does that work? A bunch of randoms come into the news network, carry an unconscious person that was never recorded entering the building in the first place, and do as they please with her? The news agency has no cares about Hibiki coming back with one of the invaders? No one's checking incoming flights? The landing area is so barren that he could just land and no one would notice a mostly naked woman being pulled from his cockpit? There are so many off-putting questions that should be asked of the situation that the show just breezes past.
Yeah, it's not plot armor, plot hammer, basically. We need her to be there so they can have an interaction with Hibiki. And they even mention it's like, oh, hey, I thought you brought somebody with you. It's like, no, how could I do that? No, I didn't do that. I was just worried about, bringing, Dennis's stuff in. It's like, oh, okay.
And the body, though, because I left
whatever.
that floating in space.
Yeah.
So, I guess there would be some sort of
disintegrated because the ship exploded, but yeah.
I mean, we don't really see that though, because again, the episode ends with him flying away from the ship. There are explosions. Yeah, it doesn't mean the whole ship exploded.
Well, it seemed like the whole ship exploded.
Well, to you, clearly, not to me. I'm not saying that my point of view is better than your point of view. I'm just saying, to me, it didn't seem like it did. You're saying to you it did. Great. That's just two different points of view. I would say that if this show was going to have shorts, like comedy shorts, that should be one of them. Some sort of him getting out of the cockpit, telling the flight crew, "No, don't worry, Dennis will get out in a minute." And then MASH. Do you ever see the College Humor sketch about how all 80s comedies are horrible? Yeah. They're like, how are we going to prank them? And all of their things are based off 80s movies where it's all sexual assault. And then MASH is going to sneak in, drug the girl, and then pull her out. What the fuck?
Another note. It's also interesting that the bulk of the UN spacey ships are Centrati, which makes makes some sense considering the sheer amount of material left over from the war 80 years ago, and that the equipment was built to last for centuries. Like, you got the chips, might as well use them.
When you say bulk, I don't remember the bulk of them being Centrati ships. I
Yeah, we only
remember
see like
a lot of them having those weird the Heracles style ships, like hard right angles, whereas Centrati ships are
huh.
bulbous.
In fact, I only see one ship like that, and that's a Heracles. That's it. The fighters are, human-made, the Valkyries, but the ships are almost all Centrati. In fact,
Again,
the only
memory.
difference you can tell is because they have a giant, the giant roundel thing with the, on the sides, like, oh, this is a UN spacey ship because it has the triangle roundel thing that they use. So yeah.
This story really does feel compacted in place. Hibiki is going on about only wanting to shoot the parts the viewers will want to see, namely people winning the fight. Then Dennis dies, expressing the balanced nature of reporting, and suddenly Hibiki is screaming into a phone about the very shots he would have been trying to take had he been alone up there. Sorry, that he would have been trying to avoid taking had he been up there. Clearly, I didn't write that right. I totally get that this is a character arc. It's just that it's like a 5-minute character arc that totally changes the character's outlook completely.
No, but that happens during the time of the battle because first it's like, I'm not gonna go there because that's dangerous. Like, dude, don't be
I'm
chicken.
talking about
You
the
gotta go
shots
in
that
there.
Dennis is thinking about the Heracles being shot up and killed, and
Yeah.
and Hibiki is like, don't do that. The people want to see victory. They don't want to see horrible stuff like this. And then Dennis goes on this whole thing about the balanced nature of reporting. We have to show what's actually happening, not what people want to see. And then Dennis gives that speech when he's dying, and then Hibiki goes back and starts screaming into a phone about the military is only showing the shots that he himself would have taken had he gone up there alone. That's what I'm saying, is that it's a character arc, but it's like a 5-minute character arc. My point isn't about this specifically. It's about how compacted the show feels sometimes.
Yeah.
I recognize it's a character arc, but the fact that it happens over 5 minutes makes it feel like an insane swing. If I was talking about, no, don't tear that down, that's a place of history, and then you had like a 5-minute conversation with me, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking call the mayor, we have to tear that place down, it's a safety hazard for kids. Like, well, what the fuck happened to you? Did Lessons pay you money? Like, I would be suspicious, very suspicious, if Hibiki left and like was one way and he came back the exact opposite way of when he left. Did the aliens do something to you?
He doesn't fully, because he's still talking about scoops and stuff like that, and it's a little more than that. But yeah, he's changing his mind. The quote that I was talking about, having Fef go, well, shit, let's get the hell out of here, was kind of funny. He literally drops a shit, like, shit, we're losing.
He drops a shit?
Yeah, he's like, shit.
In that uniform?
Yeah, well, I don't know how he wipes himself. Maybe that's what the cape is for. And they leave. So they sort of leave because it's kind of difficult to see, but essentially the impression is that this is a draw, right? Fed forces don't take the advantage and try to push out the UN Spacey forces, and UN Spacey forces didn't manage to finish up the job when it comes to their forces. So they're still in the line of march as of like standoff, right? Come the next episode. How did then Fef go around? Well, space is big, but they should have been undetected until they get to Earth, and they just go like, well, I guess we gotta find our girl, don't we? Yeah.
More damning
so
is that we know how much time has passed, given by well, not exactly how much time has passed, well, because Ishtar gets taken from there back to the hangar, drugged, and then wakes up. So, assumably next day sort of scenario.
It's the morning, yeah.
Right. So, Fef didn't slow roll his ass from Mars to Earth. He must have jumped, which means all of this fucking jump detection, like we know that they could detect them jumping in from Jupiter. and they must have jumped from Jupiter to Mars, so they detected that.
Yeah.
Couldn't detect
Yep.
them jumping from Mars to Earth.
Yeah.
And not for
Oops.
nothing, we can seem to tell when people are jumping, even if we don't know where they're jumping to. So kinda Hibiki's fault that Culture Park gets wasted. If he had taken Ishtar to the authorities, she wouldn't have been there for them to launch an ambush there. This attack would have been happening at some military base or something instead. I have to wonder why Sylvie later seems to know nothing about Ishtar, though. I get that Hibiki never reported that he had her and snuck her out of the news station after he landed, but the video recordings that Dennis took included them flying through the inside of the ship. So why would I think he didn't record entering the chamber that she was in? He turned over that recording, and the military went over it enough to release their own version of its events. So they would have seen her, I would think. Not to mention that Dennis died up there. Hibiki left the body behind, and nobody is asking any questions. I mean, we know Hibiki didn't do anything, but he was in an agitated state before he left, and was the last one to see Dennis alive. You'd think he'd be detained for at least a little while for questioning, or even to make sure that he didn't blab about the stuff he saw before the military has a chance to go over the recording and put out their own messaging.
Well, there's a talk about a funeral for Dennis. Like, oh, he doesn't have any
Family.
living relatives and family, so the company's going to give him a funeral. Sans, I guess, closed casket, empty casket.
No, but I
As
mean,
for her, no.
the Dennis thing has, I mean, what you were talking about with Dennis has nothing to do with what I'm addressing. He's the last one who saw Dennis alive. You would ask some questions like, what was Dennis doing out of the cockpit? How did Dennis get out of the cockpit, for example? The fact that he has recording, Dennis was recording everything that was going on, there would be some aspects of that you'd think Hibiki would be questioned about, especially because he turned over all that shit, or the company did, to the military. You'd think he would at least be detained. You know? Let's ask you some questions about what happened here. There's some indiscrepancies. Also, your Valkyrie used enough fuel for 2 people, even though you were the only one who came back. Like, there's some things here that should have been questioned, but it seemed like he got out same day, same night.
Well, for why Sylvie doesn't know is because I think she's just a lieutenant. She is a lieutenant, so she stood down the totem pole for this kind of situation.
She's literally spending nights at a hotel with the Supreme Commander, discussing affairs higher than her rank. So,
yeah, but that doesn't mean that's the other way around. Like, he would say to her, like, "Hey, by the way, yeah, we got this footage." Like,
to discuss things above your rank, you had to have been told about things above your rank. So clearly, the messaging goes back and forth.
at least you could probably also figure it out that it makes sense that the Minmay attack is not going to, because the whole discussion was about the Minmay attack, not about other alien races that might be out there besides the Centrati. So,
okay,
yeah.
So you only really addressed one aspect. So I'm assuming you just tacitly agree with me on the rest.
Yeah, it's pretty ham-fisted.
Again, to my previous note, compacting. We're just fucking compacting to get from point A to point B.
They plot hammering in order to have him, Hibiki, spend the day essentially with Ishtar and show her the culture and do all the things in the second episode too. Yeah.
Otherwise, there should be a couple of military officers there keeping him detained in some room at the news agency while they go over the footage and then ask him about everything that happened aboard that ship. Because also, yeah, no questions, even though you're the only person who got aboard one of their ships, as far as we know.
Also,
especially from the moment that they realize that they're not Centrati, they're a whole different alien race.
Also, the fact that they have the company has its own Valkyrie that can just waltz into a battle and nobody goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Right?
Pretty sure I have a future note about that too.
Yeah, like, oh, you got to get the coverage. It's like, you're interfering with a military operation might do. We're not responsible if a straight shot just takes you out, at you and your next of kin and the next 3 generations.
You better learn how to play a guitar.
And my last note for episode 1. Yeah, we're taking a long time. We have 3 episodes to cover, so there's that. And now we have the death of a mentor marking a turning point in Hibiki's character's journey. So that's why Dennis died. Dennis died to make that punch. It's like, oh, by the way, what I said was very important, and I will punctuate this by dying. Ugh. And I was like, oh no, you're dead. I'm gonna take whatever you said to me to heart because you're dead.
I mean, before he died, he did say that kid has a lot of potential. I don't know. He said something to that effect. And it's like,
Yeah.
you only
Yeah.
said it to us because you didn't say it to him. We're the only ones who could hear you. I don't really know why Fef left Ishtar behind. She broke her bangle, which I guess was important for some reason. Otherwise, Fef had control of the area. The guy that came to back up our guys got his arm torn off and was almost completely ineffective. Fef could have grabbed Ishtar and flown away if he wanted, but he chose to book it into orbit without her instead.
Well, the bangle, the thing was how they were tracking her, and she knew that they were tracking it because you could see the lights.
I just assume that it does more than that. It's got a lot of blink, as you already just pointed out. It's got lights and shit on it. I assume that's with. I mean, 90s tech, even still, that's pretty big just to be a tracking device. Also, she's wearing it back on the ship where they know where she is.
Maybe some kind of control device or coordination device. I don't know.
I assume it has something to do with the singing.
Yeah.
But my point isn't that she broke it. My point is that Fef, how many times in Macross throughout the years, has somebody just grabbed a person and flown away and then put them into the cockpit later? Instead of doing any of that, when he has full control of the area, like, dude behind him, no longer a threat. You've literally disarmed him.
Well, one arm. He still has an arm and probably missiles.
It's just standing there. So. Again, everybody fucking sucks in this show when it comes to Valkyrie, Batroid, mobile suit combat. He, is there. He's holding him, because that's the move he decided to make. Rip the arm off. Fef gets back into the cockpit, closes the face, closes the thing over the face. The other dude just standing there. Fef flies away. Disarmed, get it? It's a joke. Doesn't do anything.
Again, a plot hammered. Yeah. Okay, to my next point my first point in the second episode, Ishtar. In the future, we will use mini disc. I love mini disc. This is sort of retro-futuristic vibe I love. Because to me, mini discs are
we already had a whole commentary about this before when the first time we saw the disc on the table. Because remember, it's the blue outline and the little disc on the inside, and we're like, well, maybe it reminds. Well, I think I even almost brought up it reminded me of a tiny disc just in a disc. Sorry, mini CD. Reminded me of a mini CD in a disc container.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is why I love it. Between the very late 1980s and the early 1990s, almost all sci-fi anime would use mini disc because that was the format that was being pushed, I think, by Sony at the time. And it was like, oh, this is going to be the future. And then by 1994, 95, nope, everybody stopped using mini disc. But I love this technology. That the only reason why it didn't take off was because it was very expensive at the time. So floppy disks and even cassettes were still available very cheaply. And, floppy disks were coming down in price, and eventually USB connections were already existing. They wouldn't become a thing until the 2000s, So, yeah, there were more cheaper variety of everything for storage than
Who
this.
gives a shit about physical media?
I do. I love it.
Cool.
I love physical media. Yeah. I love the very specific retro futuristic aspect of this. Because it's
the only person I know who ever gave a shit about physical media was a guy I used to work with who I had arguments about vinyl is better.
It can be for certain things.
Vinyl is better than digital.
Yeah, because digital, by compression, you lose some. Always when you're compressing and copying, you lose some of the fidelity. But most people cannot notice it anyway.
I'm not asking you to enter into this argument. I already had that enough. With that guy, as I said, I used to work with. Every day. I don't care.
Yeah.
Was that your note?
That was my note.
So the Marduk are a race that got into space sometime after the protoculture, but before anyone else, and were able to capture and use the Zentradi to fight for them by using their music. Ishtar claims that they are, or were, no, are, they're still alive, are a warrior race despite the fact that they are using someone else to fight their battles. But it also begs the question of, who are they fighting? I guess just others in Zentradi? Also, if they are a warrior race, why do they have a legend about this ship that will bring them peace? Kind of sounds like Balance to the Force style prophecy. Like bringing them peace would be bringing them total domination so that they don't have to fight anymore or something. Also, one also has to wonder why this ship would have a legend about it. It's just a ship. Presumably, when you made your legend, it was a supervision army ship on top of that.
Or a Meltran ship.
No, it was supervision army.
Not in the movie.
The movie doesn't say anything about it. It's a ship of Aulus. So, to her legend, that doesn't imply anything. Also, why would it be a Meltran ship? She's not Meltran. Also, Meltran ships were like hard angles.
The SCF-1 compared to the rest of the Zentradi ships is pretty much hard angles in comparison.
Yeah, but not the same angle as the Meltrans. Like, the Meltrans are like triangular, I would say.
Yeah.
As per their main ship being a pyramid. Or pyramid shaped. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're making this only off of the movie, I still wouldn't say it's Meltran. Because the SDF-1 isn't ever said to be Meltran either. In the movie, I mean.
The movie, they don't say where it comes from. It's just a ship.
Right.
Yeah. To my next point, then. And Hibiki's still thinking of getting the scoop. I guess character growth doesn't happen all at once.
It does. It happens in 5 minutes, from my previous note. His whole thing is he's a reporter. A scoop isn't a bad thing. How he does it is the bad thing.
Your next note.
It'd be like Basara not singing a song. God, I don't know why I'm constantly not remembering your guy's name.
Hikaru?
Hikaru. I want to say Hitomi. There's so many H names in anime. Specifically H names on anime I'm currently watching. I just got done Escaflowne. That's why Hitomi's in my head.
Hitomi, yeah.
Hikaru, not flying. Or Alto, not flying. Or Isamu, not flying. You know, they're kind of one-note characters in Macross.
Yeah.
Why did Sylvie and Xgrin go to the hotel, really? Despite the fact that a reporter got the drop on them while they were leaving, if the show has shown anything so far, it's that these people are in no way being monitored by the people that would care about what they were doing. The conversation we saw them having in the hotel was one they apparently could have been having anywhere with little to no threat. Starting to make me be on Hibiki's side, questioning what they are up to up there. Was Xgen having an illicit affair with his top pilot, or were they discussing more than what's being shown to us? I mean, the need for those costumes was all a bit much.
I think and this is, I'm doing this by implication, is that the party line is, oh no, we conquered the Zentradi, we have everything under control. Because later on they talk about maintaining literally in episode 3, it's like, oh, if we lose the trust of the people, then we're done for, right? So the idea that maybe the Minmay attack might not work at all, you know, that the way I'm thinking is that the military is in control, but they're afraid that the only reason they can maintain political control is by having support of the people, right? But if the people do not trust and believe that the military can protect them, then that control fails. So she going to him saying, listen, we're going soft. The things are the way are going. We have to change. That can't be said publicly. So that's something. The hotel? It could be anywhere else.
Take that exact quote you just said and apply it to my illicit affair. Things are going soft. Things can't continue the way they're going. My point is that this is clearly not the police state that's monitoring them to that point to make sure that nobody's talking out of the party line. Because of the fact that shit, I had this in my head before I wanted to make that joke. Damn it, that going soft joke just had to be said. Oh, to the point that I was talking about before, that they gave the military their recording of everything that happened out there, and they didn't detain Hibiki to make sure that he didn't say anything beyond what they wanted to be said off of their recording, right? They didn't lock him down to ensure that he said the party line, the thing that they were going to put out there on the news. So I don't feel like their ace pilot or the supreme commander are being monitored to that same degree. Everything feels loosey-goosey. It doesn't feel like they had to go to a hotel room.
There is actually, it's very interesting because when they're in the fight against the Marduk the first time, and the rest of Pixie Squadron starts questioning Sylvie about, hey, what you were doing in a hotel room, blah, blah. She's like, pay attention, right? I'm not going to talk about the metal battle. Next comes and is like, oh, I too like to know what's going on. And her response is, you don't want other people to hear about that. And he goes like, okay, I get it.
That just reads as though I'm having an affair.
Or it reads about, but he's not angry about it. Like, he's like, oh, okay. So clearly this is something that can be discussed because our superiors might hear about
quite clearly,
that's how I read it.
Quite clearly the relationship is over. If we're supposed to believe that Sylvie is going to be in a love triangle with Hibiki by the end of this, then clearly her and Nex is going to come to an end at some point. And what's her name? Natalia is going to have her day in the sun.
Maybe. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I'm not, again, if my voice doesn't end with a this at the end, then it's not a question. I literally just got done editing that part of that video not a while ago, maybe yesterday. I can't talk with you lessons. You know everything. I can only talk at you.
Well, to my next point then. A bit too aggressive there, Hibiki, even if you meant well. Although the translator as an earpiece was a nice touch. In other words, you could have, well, he did try to hand it to her, and she's like, no. And it's like,
the show,
okay, here I go. Like, dude.
The show feels like it thinks it's in the 60s.
Yeah.
Per my previous comment where I even referenced Mad Men. The juxtaposition of Hibiki as compared to all of the other main characters we've seen before is a bit crazy. Sees Sylvie under attack and mentioned how Wendy is in the plane too. Reporter Buddy mentions that they've got a Valkyrie up there. You would think that in any other show in the series, that would mean that he would be using any means necessary to try and help. Instead, Hibiki is rushing out there to try and get a scoop, reporting on what's happening.
You mean in the moon?
Episode 3.
Moon battle?
Yeah, I'm at the end of my notes. I got one more note after this, even though you've just entered episode 2.
I just feel I have a lot of notes.
Yeah. Like I said, I was half asleep.
No, that's not what's happening. What is happening is actually he doesn't. Well, he says he wants a scoop.
He literally says he wants a scoop. All I'm saying is that in any of the other shows, these two people are in danger. Do we have a Valkyrie available? I'm on it. I'm going to go get that scoop. Is a weird part of that sentence because any of the other main characters and any of the shows would be going out there to try and help rescue these people. No, don't need that. We've got all the other members of the squadron and the military out there. I'm out there for the scoop.
Well, he actually is there to send or try to get Ishtar back to her people because she says, I want to sing to my song, the love song to them, blah, blah. And he says, I'm here. I'm the one rescuing you this time. And it kind of works because she actually, Ishtar talks to Fef and goes like, let her go. I'm coming back. And Fef goes like, fine, let them go, right? We got our emulator back and we can kill them, when we want to. And his second in command's going like, what about theirs? We could study her. It's like, did I study, motherfucker? Just do what you're told, right? Let's see that's what happens. So they kind of do save them, although
I'm not saying what happens later. I'm saying in the now that he is rushing out there to get a scoop.
No, he's actually rushing out to get
A scoop. He's what he says.
Ishtar.
He says with
he says
no
about
hint of deception,
no,
I'm
more like
rushing out there to
sarcasm,
get a
more like this.
scoop. Not okay. He says it with no hint of deception
Well,
or
He's
sarcasm.
talking to
Mitsuyu.
his producers. Of course, he gets permission to get the ship. Like, no, I'm not gonna do my job.
He says it
Why would I want?
excitedly, as like every other time he's been talking about getting a scoop.
Next point. Meltron. Oh boy, Taylor's gonna love that.
I mean, this isn't the main universe anymore. I don't give a shit. 3 more episodes of this, and I'm done. Well, in a movie, technically.
And a movie, yeah. Well, since you have no more, I'll just try to.
No, I've got one left. I said I had
fast.
one left after this.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the reason we wouldn't get an updated Macross 2 in the actual timeline is because Macross 2 has already been taken apart wholesale and put into other shows. So much of this is Macross 7 already. Non-military guy rushing out into combat zones to do something other than fighting, while a non-Zentradi threat fights the military. Ishtar and Mylene wear the same outfits. MASH is just a better representation than Honey Suzuki ever was. Obviously, that makes Basara Hibiki.
Not really.
It literally does.
Hibiki
rushes out into the combat zone to do reporter shit. Basara rushes out into the combat zone to do music.
Basara's just being a nuisance until the plot says otherwise.
Hibiki is a horrible sexual pervert.
I wouldn't take it that far.
I would.
Butt slap.
He does.
The butt grab. The butt grab was.
And then he gets a girl drugged and takes her back to his apartment.
Well, I think the reason why they calm her down, it's like literally, it's like, oh, she's gonna have a panic attack. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna drug her.
So you're justifying the guy who has a girl drugged. You're putting words out there that are not said by any of the characters. MASH just implies that he drugged her, and yeah, I brought her back to your apartment. Yeah, so he got a girl drugged and brought her back to the apartment. Not for nothing, he also gives her a drink and she passes out soon after.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be soda water, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's often at the clubs he doesn't give people drinks that they just pass out for. I'm just saying that if there's a guy in an anime that we're both watching who I wouldn't suspect that maybe has date rape drugs on him, it's gonna be Hibiki, the one we've also just seen. Why did he grab Sylvie?
Yeah, that part was a bit too much. I mean,
it's an indication towards his character.
Piercing, it's designed to supposedly, ostensibly, pierce the illusion of the hologram.
Could have poked her in the shoulder.
Yeah, or him, for that matter, the old man, right?
Or, done one of those, just walk a little too close and just bump shoulders. And your shoulder goes through the other shoulder, and then, well, that's the hint.
Yeah. It could have been that much better, certainly. So, there you go.
But obviously, it's literally 1-for-1. Basara would be Hibiki.
But Hibiki has a character.
So does Basara.
Not really.
Again, that's your argument, and apparently the entire Macross watching community disagrees with you, so I kind of have to let you be your own pariah on this one.
I'm still right.
Yeah, no, you're not. Also, you don't get the final word.
My next note, then. Yes, cameras objectively record things. Never mind the intent of the operator or what happens to the footage post-editing.
They always argue that they don't. I don't know if that's your point, though.
Yeah.
Cameras don't objectively record things because...
Do anything.
Well, I would argue that the person pointing the camera de-objectifies it because you're not seeing other things for the purpose of seeing what the camera operator finds to be important. It's the entire point of episode 1, where Hibiki is saying, don't record that, record this. People want to see this, don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, if all recording was 360 God's perspective, right? Say those cameras that can record everything going on around them, then you could record everything in an area, and then it would be the editor that's not objective, but that's not what we're dealing with here.
My next note. I guess we are in the era of Big Jacket. TM. I have a couple of notes about the
It's the 90s.
fashion sense of fashions. Yeah, but there's a mixture of things like the military all have huge jackets. Also, Hibiki has a huge jacket. Uh, Ishtar's wearing a jacket is not that big because she's much smaller frame, but you know, and then there's other fashion choices that go into, but yeah, just making a point of that. Now, we talked about this when we were watching the show, but I didn't remember the city that it reminded me of until I looked it up. The city reminds me of real life Chongqing in China with multiple levels. Of course, this city, Macross City, we're not ever told. It's built on a flat plain, while Chongqing is built on hilly terrain, thus giving it a sense of multi-planes elevations within the city structure itself.
Would have to be Macross City.
Yeah,
The
no, but
Macross
the
is at the
commentary
middle
was
of it.
yeah. Yeah, but it's never mentioned as Macross City. As far as we know, they never say, "Oh, we're in Macross City." You know,
I know it's based on the movie, right? But the things
Mhm.
unsaid between the movie and the show have to be taken as still the same things.
Yeah.
If not, if the
But
same rules that we operate with, like Origin to Gundam, the things not contradicted have to be still regarded as true, because there's nothing else to fill that space in with. So we know the city built around the SDF Macross is Macross City.
but the original point I was trying to make during the video and with this note is that you see, I like the city construction that has all these multiple levels and walls and everything else. So it's going down on the ground and up into I guess the ships that they converted into part of the living arrangements, plus the high skyscrapers and everything else. So I like that layered cyberpunk style
I
to
mean,
it.
I used to live in a house that was built into a hillside. So from one
Yeah,
side, the first floor, on the other side, the second floor is the first floor, because the
yeah, it's a
basement looks
balcony.
out. Well, I would say the
Yeah,
basement is essentially looking out because it's the first floor coming up the hill. But the actual first floor, where you enter the house and where the bedrooms are, or some of the bedrooms are, and the kitchen and the living room and everything, is actually up the hill, turn around, and
up
that's
the
the
hill.
first
Yeah,
floor.
yeah.
Same thing
Oh
on
yeah, that's
city
very
design. I'm just saying it's the same thing in
yeah,
city
this
design.
very common around here because most of the outline is pretty hilly. So you can have like, oh, there's literally there's a road here and the house is here, and then you look around and it's on stilts because it's a drop on the other side. So
Well,
yeah,
around here we also have beachfront property where you have stilted houses, so that's a different thing.
we don't do stilted houses usually in beachfront property, which is interesting. You would think you would do more of that, but we don't. We do it more for hillsides and the lake. But yeah, different places, different takes. My next point: Match must be one of the earliest and most positive portrayals of a trans character, not a crossdresser or drag queen created for laughs or horror in anime. Not the first one, of course. Anime like Dirty Pair tackled the subject earlier. My next point then. Uh, Nice detail having H-Star cover her bracelet.
But I mean, is
This,
it a nice detail? Because it's stupid. As per your previous thing, I think that's her tracker. Covering it doesn't do
yeah, but
anything.
she doesn't. No, she does. She's not covering it because she knows that they're coming for her. She's covering it from Hibiki, so he doesn't know what it is.
Okay, then that's double stupid. That's the I'm gonna hide my wrist because I got bit by a zombie earlier, so you don't know what's going on. The idea that she has any kind of care for him and then hides the element of this is something that you should know about because I might put you in danger by this tracker that I've got on my wrist. I'm not going to tell you guys I got bit by a zombie. You'll find out when you're asleep.
I don't. I think the problem is not a problem. I think the issue is she. In many ways, I think she's maybe wrong, but she's actually thinking that she's protecting him from that reality because it's like she has her own agenda, right? She wants to find the whole Chip of Alice thing and see what it is, and like literally, I have a comment about that later on. And it's like I want to enjoy the moment. If I tell him about this is going to derail the whole thing. So she's being a little selfish. But I think I said from an animation point is a nice detail because it's like, oh, that thing is flashing and all that, and he never noticed it, right? It's like, no, she's been trying to cover it so that he doesn't know what's going on, right?
Also think back to when MASH clearly changed her clothes for her. Because she's not wearing the same clothes that she wore on the ship when she wakes up in the bed. So clearly MASH has already seen this thing too.
Yeah, but MASH doesn't have any context of what it is. Hibiki might, but not her or them.
By the way, Hibiki, she's wearing this weird glowy bracelet thing that I couldn't take off of her because clearly MASH didn't take it off of her for any reason. I'm going to change all of your clothes, but your jewelry. I'm going to leave your jewelry on. So, MASH doesn't bring it up either. I think it's a cascade of stupidity. Plus, Ishtar has no response when the news report comes up and we see all these bloody people being taken out of the wreckage.
Yeah, I have a comment about that. Yeah. Actually, she doesn't. Does she see that? No, I don't think she does.
Hibiki sees it because he's in front of the TV, and then Ishtar's with Hibiki, so why wouldn't she see it?
And finally, to episode 3, Festival. The shot of the city reminds me of one of the things I really dislike about Macross 2, the poor animation, at least poor compared to what came before or even after, although Mac 7 is not much better some days. And the original, they have some atrocious episodes. In some aspects, it's very good for its era, but in some other shots, it's piss poor. And it will not get any better.
I think we said this during the episode. Well, I was comparing it to a high budget anime from earlier. Sorry, I can't say this without context. Say it's the 90s, right? You got a high budget anime, but you're making it actually in 88, say. So your high budget 88 anime comes out looking like what a modern 95 anime might, versus a low budget 95 anime, which looks kind of crappy, but it stands up to say what an 88 anime would be on a high budget. So that's what this feels like. This feels like an earlier anime with a high budget. I think, what was I comparing it to? War in the Pocket. I was comparing it to like a War in the Pocket. Where this feels more like of its era and with a medium budget, whereas War in the Pocket feels like it came from before and is pushing hard to be better than what anime of its time would be.
Yeah. Next comment. The wounded had minor injuries, showing the man bandaged almost head to toe. Like there's a guy covered in specks of blood, and the other one had bandaged. Like, well, that's very believable that they had minor injuries. Like those look like 2nd or 3rd degree burns in most of their bodies, but yeah, just minor injuries. Who cares, right?
I mean, if we're going to take them at their word, then you have to be concerned what they consider to be major injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the war was so bad 10 years ago that people just like getting their limbs blown off left and right, and then the standard of minor injury was like, got all your limbs.
I mean, although this is, 2 generations removed, at least, it was 80 years. This is a world where probably half of the population or more died in a single attack.
It's about 4 generations removed.
Yeah.
A generation is 15 to 20 years.
So, yeah. It probably, they haven't seen that catastrophic world, but they all grew up.
I'm talking about the 10 years ago thing. The fight from 10 years ago would be the most recent in their mind.
My next note. Sorry, Hibiki, I will only info up after you hit the next quest marker. Like, I will only tell you this after we go to the ship of Alice. I need to know now. just I'm skipping the dialogue so you can tell me now what's going on. No, you got to go to that location. And then I got my quest marker for the dialogue. I was like, okay, let's go. Now, normal clothing looks like something ripped out of 1999 catalog. But the former stuff looks like something like pseudo-Victorian for some reason. And we talked about that. It's like you didn't like the...
I said I didn't like it. I just said one
frills.
Makes me look like you're working on the plantation, and the wrist bit made me think you're a magician's assistant.
And what's his name next had that cravat, which I think we also saw in 7 as well.
Yeah,
What's
Gamlin.
his name Gammon wearing that as well.
And
In
maybe
a very
also,
similar
what's
scene.
his name? The K guy. Guy who blows himself up.
Yeah. The guy had a horse on the side of his head. My next point. I'll give props to Nex. He took his shot, missed, and respected Sylvie's boundaries, unlike when he was wondering what she was doing with the CO. But of course, that first one can be excused by a breach of protocol. But he gets exactly what's happening the moment Sylvie tells him what the higher ups were listening. That the higher ups were listening. Now I think I might have skipped.
You already.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you already brought that one up too in a previous discussion.
Yeah, but I did skip a comment that goes into Hibiki's and other men's behavior in this show. All the men in this anime are apparently well-meaning but utterly clueless in how they should behave around women. Pushing your boombox into someone's face is not cool, man.
I mean, he is that guy from the bus on Star Trek 4.
But with a better attitude, I think, because he's like, "Oh, I want to help you." She phones out like, "Oh, I'm gonna help you up, right?" And she's like, "Oh, sorry." She runs away. Like, "Well, okay, shit." He's like, "Oh, hey, he seems like somebody who's demoing. He's, oh, hey, listen."
He is. He said, "Listen to my gig."
Yeah, and she's like, like, okay, I get what you're trying to do. Just like Hibiki was like with the earring, like, I get what you guys are gonna do, but the way you're going about it is just so wrong. The only one that goes like, you know what? You want to have coffee back in my place? No, sorry, I have too much stuff in my head. Gotcha. I'll take my leave. Have a good night. He doesn't even frown. He's like, okay, cool. I get where we're at. And he leaves. So he's probably the most well-behaved. Well, Fef also kind of well-behaved as well. He's like,
Fef is well-behaved. Fef is the one who caused all those minor injuries.
He's more of a, dot your hat kind of like Lady Ishtar. Like, okay. But then it's supposed to be a pseudo-feudal scenario, I think. So, yeah. 6. Sylvie's sport car sounds electric as does Hibiki's bike. Which I think goes all the way to the movie, I think, where all the cars were supposed to be electric because it's the future of 2012, where most cars were not electric in 2012.
I was mostly paying attention to the hum of it as it seemed to audibly be speeding up, even though visually it wasn't moving that much faster, and the fact that Ishtar is on the back with no helmet, even though Hibiki's wearing a helmet. But then again, why would Hibiki have an extra helmet if he's the only one who ever rides the bike?
And my last note. And of course, somebody had to trip on the bridge of the SCF-1. In this case was, hitting the chair, I suppose. I think that was Shami's chair. No, that was not Shami's chair. Shami's on the other side. The girl with glasses, forgot her name.
Well, it's more so he'd say hitting him in the injury that he got at the park.
So there you have it. Those were my notes.
All right. Well, with all that said, I guess there's nothing left to do here but hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Not a huge fan of that opening. Specifically, that screeching squeak noise. I know you, being a fan of the Thunderbolt soundtrack, might appreciate that, but for me, it's an annoyance.
No, I agree that particular noise is too high tone for what is. I do like the song, though, but no.
I'm not enjoying the soundtrack now that I've actually had a chance to listen to it as much as I hoped I would. I like the songs Wendy sings, but not the general soundtrack of the show as much. Like, I don't have a problem with it. It's not like... I'd say I put it probably into the same tier of music as I would say Delta, maybe? I would say there's more songs in Delta I like than this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just guess I came into this with higher expectations because I liked all the Jamming Bird songs, and I don't think I've heard those yet.
Yeah.
Like I said, Wendy's songs were fine, but I would put Wendy's songs just like a tier above Min-May singing. Like I was thinking, is this like a new version of My Boyfriend is a Pilot? Like it's not the same song, obviously, but it's like reading the lyrics. It's like this is like a new generation of My Boyfriend is a Pilot. Generally, it's fine. I just not the songs I was anticipating. I guess maybe I hyped myself up too much for the soundtrack. Not unfair.
We have a prophecy.
Well, I'm sure there's at least one person on Earth named Alice. She works at Mel's Diner. That's a joke for you older folks.
Yeah.
Any fans of Rhoda in the audience? It's my social security number. Oh wait, you said SNN? Never mind. Nailed it in one.
Yeah.
I guess to be fair, the whole planet contaminated her. Also the weird art style of having everybody on the verge of crying, no matter what.
Marduk disorder. The series.
SFR 解除。大丈夫そうね。あのバカの救助信号が出ているうちに何とかしなくっちゃ。
Oddly, when people get electrocuted in torture chambers and whatnot in these shows, you know, in like sci-fi in general, it never like interferes with the electronics you've got on you. Despite the fact that we see electrical jumping off of your body. Yeah, camera did pan in on your chest for some reason while you were to show us that you had the necklace earlier. And that's when they defeated the Temple Wolf.
Now we're in, well, slight clip territory, I guess. Oh, this is interesting.
Mother, I guess.
No, that's her.
Do you think she's wearing a necklace with a holograph of herself?
No, I think that was given by Hibiki to her. Or
We never saw him give it to her. She's just wearing it in the episodes later, and the camera focuses on it. Well, at least the room has a chair. And no toilet. And 4 weirdly placed lights.
Oh, of course.
なんであんたがここにいるんだよ。
説明してる暇はないわ。さあ、急いで。
Their helmets have no peripheral vision.
この先はゼントランの巣よ。
Oh,
Geophysics.
1990s.
今度捕まったらただじゃ済まないわよ。
シルビー、奴ら様子が変だ。
I assure you, it wasn't boring last time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're full size Centrati.
Mind control? Who would have guessed? In Macross?
I mean, this is the first time it happens. Well, even if it's off book.
アウスイオエルバサンオムアルスノブマーサイシタエテムカウセアオムバトスオクトマサエリンシサス
Behold our
Okay.
technology. The escalator.
シルビー、ちょっと話が。
分かってるわ。あの子のことね。でもどうやって。
これこれ。あれ、
そういえばさっき機関に向かった小型艇があったわ。
きっとそれだ。急ごう。
Sometimes it feels like when they need like a map, all they do is color code a like magnification of a skin cell.
Yeah.
なんだよこれ。非常用のトランクじゃないか。
言わないの。
No, I think this is outside.
アスクロウェピス、いやウィール。ヤザック。ナススノーツミムスト、ムカルオクトタクツサーライド。
So, scramble some fighters? What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
イシュタル、一体どうしたというの？
エリーシェ様、私はかの星に行ってまいりました。そしてあの星でこの戦いは間違っていることを知りました。
イシュタル、あなたは異文明に惑わされているだけです。やはりアルス
What happened to the rest of her face paint? Do you remember in episode 1 she had this like power on symbol that went all across her face?
Yeah. I think that's an activation thing, maybe? I don't know. Okay, we're back to that suit.
Also a pretty cool magic trick. I mean, she did it without her hands. It just ripped away. I want to go back to the Matrix.
響き。
There are the interceptors. Right behind them.
見てらっしゃい。バルキリーの力を見せてあげるわ。
Pretty dangerous ploy to
ここ
make.
から先は
No idea if you were about to fly into a wall.
イシュタル、波長が乱れています。他の脳波に影響を及ぼします。落ち着いて。
エリーシェ様、あれはアルスの星です。私はそこでアルスの船を見つけました。
アルスの船を、まさか。
Are we using Alice as like a stand-in for the protoculture?
アルスの魂に触れた
Could
ん
be.
です。アルスの星には素晴らしいカルチューンと、そして何よりたくさんの歌があります。
まやかしです。
いいえ、まやかしではありません。楽しい歌、悲しい歌、そして何よりも恋の歌がある。
I remember seeing one song of sorrow at that
一つの
concert.
歌しか持っていない私たちを 救ってくれるはず。
Was that an alarm? Because I thought we were about to get into a pretty cool song.
Wow, that's a lot of dudes.
イシュタルだ。間違いない。シルビー、このまままっすぐだ。
オッケー。ナビゲーターよろしく。
Oh, guess what I'm doing?
ノートム、ワーグナンサス。
エクレイコルホドスセントランピルボアディイオールとアーズルバータバーグ
You can tell that they created this language, but the voice actors are speaking it phonetically, right? They just
Yeah, like when Japanese people are playing English characters and the Japanese people don't know how to speak English, they're just...
oh, they're awful shots. I'll tell you that much.
Well, it's two main characters. They can't shoot it.
Yeah.
This is why I keep telling you that I prefer bad guys. This doesn't happen to bad guys' vehicles.
今は戦いたくないのよ。あなたたちとは。
Well, you better start wanting to fight them, because they're not going to stop.
Yeah. I don't think that's much of a choice. Oh, there's the symbol.
イシュタル、マルドゥークの平和とは絶対的な力です。
Hey, it's what I said in my note.
無秩序と混沌が全宇宙に満ちていく。
What it...
ダメ。心の中から疑い
Most of space is dominated by the Zentradi, as far as we know.
なりません。
These guys just fucking showed up.
この聖域を犯してはなりません。
ダメ。エリンシェ様、戻せない。アルスの星で覚えた歌が私の心に込み上げてくるわ。
いけません。イシュタル。
Oh, Fef. Oh, Vol? Thought that was Fef's mobile suit thing.
エルスとカウセアイシュタル。ドレアムカルアールスノーバ。
レンナンサスデカルチョミンマザタクトプロディスバディルオンミアスイウィウ
ダムミバディル。カウセアイヤクツ。
I just don't know what to call them other than mobile suits. Because they don't transform in anything.
No.
And they're not like the Batroids.
I mean, they're pop. Giant rope.
Yeah, your internet just fucking sucks today. You've been lagging out and like going robot all the time.
That's a lot of dudes. That's what missiles are for.
Oh, yeah, but she doesn't want to fight. She said, firing missiles that fly into the middle of a room, stop, and then explode into a light. Yeah, also not for nothing, Macross 7 uses a lot of just stand there and fire all bunch of missiles things too.
Yeah.
さあ行こう、シルビー。
ちょっと待って。これ以上は無理そう。ここまで来れたのも奇跡のようなもの。おばあちゃんに感謝しなくっちゃ。
おばあちゃん？
私、メルトランのクォーターなの。この無鉄砲
Yeah, it's something I didn't put into my notes,
シルビー。
but they seem to be
鉄砲
making
は俺も同じだ。
like a big deal about the fact that Ishtar could have been pure
あなたは負
Miltrati,
けてないわよね。
implying that a bunch. And we talked about the ears thing from the first 3 episodes.
あのゼントランたちは
That just seems like everybody's just a mix
彼
now.
女に生まれてきたのかもしれない。けど自由を捨てたわけじゃない。人間なの。戦いの道具なんかじゃないわ。だからイシュタルの可能性にかけてみたいの。
Yeah, and that one pacifist Zentradi on that the video monitor that they had
どこか
before.
のデタラメ報道マンよりか信じられるわね。
あれは
外へ出ましょう。
Sexual harassment? Yeah, I've put in a
Yeah.
lawsuit against you back when we get back on Earth.
Yeah.
それで私を取って。
What? What's going on?
報告します。地球統合軍バルキリー小隊シュルビー注意。現在敵の機関内に潜入。見当むなしく窮地に立っております。お世話になった方々にもし伝わればとこの報告を残します。つまり袋のネズミというわけ。ありがとう。
If you can give us any information. I understand it's a sad scene and she's like possibly talking about her own death. But the point of doing that would be to pass along information.
Yeah.
ヤザクウータヤザク
You're just a potty mouth, Zeph. Fef.
Yeah.
Fef.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zeph is a character from One Piece. All that time on Earth, he didn't learn one song.
オクタブルアタクスカザルオムイスタール
Yeah, unfortunately, Ishtar was your counter to the Minmay attack.
I mean, they have other coordinates.
No, that's Gundam Seed.
Emulators, sorry.
Also, it's happening
She's not the only
again.
one.
Of course she's not. The lady in front of her is like the lead of them, apparently. But she's the only one on site, it seems.
アルサイングスタクトオムアウタクトカザルボルメインバーゴウータイメルトカウザスバスティジェスカウセ
So did we just choose not to animate this guy? Like, this is the second time now this dude's been talked to. Ah, the horrors of having hair so long it drags across the floor.
それが全てだと。そんな。間違いだと気づくものもありました。しかし、その考えは異端なのです。いえ、知っていても忘れなければ。全ての意志は我がイング
Yeah,
ス
they
様
did talk about it like it was a religion before.
汚染されたものは制裁されなければなりません。それがマルドゥークの秩序なのです。
Like the Centrati before you.
You know, I was just thinking more like the peacekeepers from Farscape. You've been irrevocably contaminated. You know, super pilot Sylvie here. Why is she like into his arms as though he's gonna protect her? You're the badass between these two.
響き逃げるわよ。
でもイスタルが
どうにもできないでしょ。
デストマセンテスウィルミンミア
It's weird that she's like being proactive and also like the damsel in distress for some reason.
デザ
Gonna open fire? What are you doing? It's also kind of funny that they introduced us to the new top of the line fighter, and
Yeah.
this isn't even it. We left that one behind. Remember that
No,
one?
that
did-
was damaged too.
Well, no, that one didn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
It's just that they introduced us to the concept, and there we go. I guess I'm marking Fef as dead. Or... I thought that was behind them. Cool. But if this Valkyrie can't fold, then you're still gonna die. I think it's more the result of what the Emperor has done.
True.
Okay, I guess saved by random ship in the middle of nowhere. Don't worry, we have that hotel room.
Like ships have keys.
Great, because I was going to ask you how, but since you told me not to. Like, my first question was, how did they know where to jump their ship to look for you?
Well, they know where the enemy frontline fleet is, so... And the Jupiter line, so...
Yeah, well, they all didn't know where Fef's ship was in orbit. Well, I know they didn't go to Fef's ship. Fef is such a stupid name.
Fef?
Yeah, just like...
It's short, easy to remember.
Change the first letter. Don't have 3 out of the 4 letters be the same letter.
All the FF...
Yeah, my name is... Well, I mean, that was an episode. Some reason it just invokes that SDF Macross episode of Max running through the ship in his Valkyrie pretending to be a person, which I would say was a better episode than this.
Yeah. I mean, this was okay, but...
Well, I mean, they're trying to give us, like, background information on the Marduk, but I don't feel like that background information made anything better or more enjoyable. Plus, they're invoking the connection between Ishtar and Hibiki, which we already knew. They don't need to linger on that longer. And they're doing Sylvie a disservice. Yes, I know, the entire ending credit scene is basically fan service. And written by Manchild, I guess. The element of Sylvie is supposed to be this badass top ace pilot, but she's also, like, into Hibiki's arms, like, oh, protect me. You're the one taking charge. You protect me. Oh, okay. Bigger fleet. Also, I guess certain shots of that preview look like the budget went up a little bit.
In some areas.
Yeah, I didn't say all of it. Yeah, like you said, the dissonance between Sylvie being I need to be protected guy who does nothing right any of her to I'm taking charge, follow me. It's like, why? Yeah. Why, unless it's like male power fantasy?
I mean, ultimately, she's the one that saves him.
Yeah, ultimately. So why is she, like, cowering into his arms in the scene?
Well, I gotta go back and look at it. I think it's...
She's leaning forwards, hands on his shoulders, not in a, you've gotta listen to me way, but, like, chest forwards, like, what are we gonna do? Visual body language. It's not I'm taking charge of the scenario. That's when she grabs him by the hand and pulls him along with her. That's a different body language. That's an I'm in charge. I know what to do. Follow me. That's the body language she's had when she's a pilot. And she's like, I know where to go. This is the way we need to do things. But in that moment where danger was presented, she's going from the emotional, this might be our final record scene, turning around because you can't see me, that trope, to, oh no, what are we going to do? You know, it's just like, why? Why is she going from strong, powerful individual?
I guess that my eyes were too fixed on H-Star when she was floating like that, like forward like that. You know, when, Fep uses the finger claw thing attack to rip her out of the chair. And didn't notice that bit with Sylvie. But when I go back,
well, I mean, it happens across multiple times because they're in the same position for like the entirety of that scene until they run away. So they keep going back to it. Sorry, you froze mid-yawn thing. So you looked shocked. You just looked shocked from... Well, no, it was
yeah. What's happening on this side of things. But it is over here for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Not the best episode, but then again, I might be on that element of we're past the hump, past the midpoint of the show, and it might just be disillusionment of hope seeping away. Hibiki, through any of his changes, hasn't sold me on his character. I'm not a fan of the main character. Sylvie I enjoy most of the time, but then it feels like they're like watering her down to be a character that would be associated with Hibiki. You went fast forward on me there a second. Ishtar is essentially one note. Like, maybe they should have like had episode 2, had her learn Earth stuff and what she actually enjoys, and then she should have been singing Wendy's songs, I feel like. She says, I want to sing these songs someday. You will. And then when she's on the ship and she's giving her like, I can't shake it. This is the thing. She should have started singing those songs instead of just, the stuff she's already been doing.
Yeah.
And, the Emperor is just irrevocable bad guy. Oh, they're contaminated? Destroy them. Sir, we can't repair our ships. There's Zentradi, and the Zentradi don't know how to repair them. Can we just, I don't know, kill them all and then take the ship back and put new people? No, destroy the ship. It's the only thing we know how to do.
I think the Marduk are not the Zentradi, so they might repair.
There's Zentradi ships, though. The Zentradi don't know how to repair the ship, so you think the Marduk just, broke down with the Zentradi ships, figured everything out, and then started making new Zentradi ships?
Probably.
You say probably. I say I don't think so. I don't think that's I don't think it's probable, is what I'm saying. I don't think the Marduk care that much. I think the fact that they can just take over the Zentradi means that any Zentradi rogue fleet that comes their way, they just get new ships.
Yeah.
Why make new ships if the Zentradi are making them for you?
Oh, no.
Which, again, is just poor planning. Doesn't behoove an empire. It behooves a bunch of raiders.
I think some of the technology has to be original to them, like the brainwashing technology.
I mean, essentially, it's just culture. It's not technology. It's just an effect.
But they're, the whole thing with the visors and they have their own designs as well for the mecha. So I think they are making new stuff. Like Fef's stuff is not based on anything come before. It clearly is Marduk of the Marduk design.
You say that, but we have no evidence to say it's not Zentradi. Just because we haven't seen it before. Yeah, just because we haven't seen it before doesn't mean the Zentradi didn't have stuff we haven't seen before. We've never seen another one of Golg's super asteroid bases that can teleport around. It was a one-of-a-kind thing. Maybe
we're seeing it now because that looks like Gold's.
No, Golg's thing was completely different. Well, also it's movie based. I'm talking about the show asteroid base thing. Golg's base in the movie was different than Golg's base in the show. But my indication is it was still a one-off thing. The same as the Meltrin pyramid thing. Who's to say that this isn't a Meltrin thing?
Looks more Zentradi, but
Fef's. I'm talking about Fef's mobile suit thing. I say that thing looks more Meltrin. If you think about the Meltrin big old humanoid bulbous suit,
Milia.
Sorry, yeah, I keep getting Mylene and Milia's name, and I didn't want to say Max's wife. You know? What she pilots
Milia,
back in
else?
SDF.
What's her name?
The one that falls for
Clan.
Quamzim. Oh, yeah, sorry. I was talking about the other female commander back during SDF Macross, which is the only applicable one for here. The one that
she said
she
ship
falls
commander.
for
She's never
Quamzim.
she never seen in her own power armor or anything like that. Well, I think that's it for it. Nothing more to say about this episode.
All right. Well, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?